Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Nick Files. I'm your host, Nick Muley. I know I was supposed to be on last week, but unfortunately, I had to cancel at the very last minute because I was unable to get my next upcoming slideshow completed. Fortunately, I finally do have the majority of it done. It's not fully done just yet, but I do have quite a majority of it now done, which should be able to last for a good majority of the show. And also, too, this slideshow that I'm going to be presenting is going to be a two-parter. But before we get to the start of the slideshow, I just have a quick announcement to make. I've been making it on the other shows I've been on. I thought it was right that I should give my share, obviously, for my own show, just to let everybody know that I got a new series that's going to be coming out. Just real quick, just to give some shout outs. Hello, Kelly. Good to see you. Hello, Irene. Always love the hugs. And I appreciate it, Kelly. Thank you very much. So, like I said, coming in the next couple days, hopefully. I don't have a specific date just yet. I do have, like I said, a new series coming out. Unlike all the shows that I do, this one is going to be pre-recorded, and it's only a seasonal show. It's going to be a series called Scary Stories Presented in the Dark, which will feature several audiobooks based on the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark trilogy book from the 80s and 90s. But over the last number of years, there's been a number of tribute books that have been made, and I've actually been fortunate enough to have made some audiobooks of my own for that. So before we get started, I'm going to show something that we often really don't show too often on these networks. I actually have a good trailer. It's only 30 seconds of this upcoming series. It just says for this October because I did make it back a few months. I made it a few months back. I just haven't, honestly, I'm glad I didn't put a specific date on it yet because I didn't want to basically really get everybody's excitement up just yet. But Kelly, I'm ready for Halloween, and I think this trailer will definitely I think this trailer will definitely give you part of that answer as well. Hello, Eric. Hello, Rita. Okay, real quick, let's get to this trailer that I got. The Scary Stories host would like to apologize in advance for scaring you to death this fall. He also would like to apologize for everlasting nightmares, unexpected laughs, and constant paranoia, but that is such another issue. Scary Stories Presented in the Dark, coming this October to several paranormal networks. So there you guys go. So it's gonna be fun once I have this all ready to go. Of course, I'll have to explain. It would take me a while to explain why this project is taking a little bit longer than expected, but that would have to be saved for a different show. So, but anyways, tonight we're going to be talking another cryptid episode, and actually, come to think of it, because I know we got a couple of people from the UK watching. This is actually a cryptid that's been seen in your area, as a matter of fact. So, but in addition to the UK, it's been seen worldwide, including the United States, obviously, most primary active area for the US. And this is what I'm kind of doing with what I did with the previous cryptids, is once again down in southern Illinois. And in this case, we're going to be focusing on what's known as phantom cats, or alien big cats, or ABCs for short. I know it seems like an unusual kind of topic, but these type of cat-like creatures that have been seen. They have been sightings of these unusual cat-like creatures. They've been going on for forever. I mean, at least 200-300 years. There's been these reports of unexplained cat-like creatures throughout various areas where you would never really think twice you'd ever find these type of creatures living in the area. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's get right down to it. So bear with me for just a sec so I can share out the screen. Again, I always got to make sure I have my phone with me to make sure that the screen is working correctly, because I don't know, I've been having it's been some unusual stuff going on lately with StreamYard. So I just want to make sure that everything's working correctly. Oh, 1 second. Oh, all right, here we go. Okay, so as I just mentioned, our next cryptid related episode tonight, which apparently somehow the Faden didn't show up, is the Phantom Panthers and Alien Big Cats, or ABCs. So to give kind of a little bit of a history and description, like I have done with the other two cryptids, panther is the popular name given to the North American cougar, which was once prevalent all over the continent, but was hunted virtually to extinction in the eastern half of the United States. Recently, it has made a comeback into its old habitat. Cryptid cat sightings are a worldwide phenomenon. For decades, there have been accounts of large black cats roaming the countryside of Great Britain, as well as recent mutilations of horses and livestock in Australia have prompted fear that undocumented large cats also dwell on the continent. So, to give some description, over the past few years, there has been an. Oh, wait, isn't that. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on one second. Okay. All right. Never mind. Never mind. Over the past few years, there has been an increased number of large cat sightings recorded throughout the eastern United States, as well as other countries to which panthers are not native to. Most descriptions have been similar to those of cougars or panther like creatures, large muscular felines with long tails, though many of the reports proved to be that of a large feral cat or an oversized pet. Alien big cats, or ABCs, and sometimes phantom cats, are not cat, in spite of their name, are not cats from outer space. Instead, they are large cats that look like something like black panthers, leopards, African lions, or cougars, but they are seen in Britain. They are alien in the sense that they are not thought to be native to the area. So that's basically where you get that coin term, alien big cats. They're not actually extraterrestrial in origin. It's just cats or cat-like creatures just seen, like I said before, areas again that they're not supposed to be in, or you would never think twice that they would be native to. Most sightings are confined to the wildest places, especially swamps. A number of the more famous cases have received unique local names, such as the Beast of Bodmin Moor or the Fiskerton Phantoms. Now, these pictures, you're going to see a lot of pictures like this. These are not actual like phantom cat pictures, because there's not very many like cryptid artistic ways of phantom panthers or cats. I had to basically use real Black Panther photos to kind of accommodate for the slideshow, which I don't really do very often with a lot of these cryptid presentations. I usually like to stick to the actual sketches and descriptions of them. But in the case with the alien big cats, this is as close as I can get. Some researchers in the field of cryptozoology use the label alien big cat to refer to any large feline glimpsed in an environment where it is not supposed to be a native animal. Thus, tigers seen in Africa or American lions or Appalachian black panthers would also count as ABCs. Sometimes smaller cats are included in this label as well, as is the case sometimes with sightings of the Scottish wildcat in England. Alien big cats, also known as phantom cats, are animals such as, see, they're kind of repeating some of the same stuff, are animals such as panthers, jaguars, and tigers found in habitats where they don't naturally live and should not exist. They are mostly closely associated with the UK and Britain, but these creatures have appeared in places like the United States, Australia, and Denmark. Unlike any other predator, large cats bring out a primitive fear in humans. They take us back to a time when we were just often prey as hunters, stalked silently from the grass by saber-toothed tigers and other prehistoric beasts. Today, big cats are still fierce hunters that can easily take down game or livestock, and a human being is, of course, no match. So when they start showing up in places we don't expect to see them, it can be a little alarming. Alien big cats get the blame for killing livestock and household pets, and the fear lingers that it won't be long until humans are on the menu. They are stealthy, like ghosts in the dark of the landscape, and Phantom Cat is the perfect nickname. Now, Phantom Cats, to kind of go through different areas of like how long they've been going for. Phantom cats have been spotted in Britain for decades, and many British citizens are quite convinced of their presence. However, the government remains skeptical and continues to deny their existence, at least publicly, which is typical of such events or creatures like this. And that's, you see that with almost every government all over the world. So, that happens over here too. It's obviously not surprising that that happens too in the UK. But despite what the government may say, the numbers seem to make the case. A survey completed by the British Big Cat Society for the years 2004 to 2005 noted 2,123 sightings across Great Britain. Many believe these animals are descendants of animals U.S. servicemen kept as mascots, which were set loose following the end of World War II. Another theory is that they descended from captive animals let loose from menageries, if I'm saying that right, when the Dangerous Wild Animals Act came into effect in 1976. However, neither of these ideas explain sightings occurring before World War II. Could there have been other incidents of visitors to Britain who brought large, dangerous animals with them? We know the Romans had amphitheaters in Britain during their first century AD occupation. So that's obviously way, you're talking basically like almost basically 1,000 years before the war. There, they staged gladiatorial fights and chariot races. They also included animals in their events, such as dangerous predatory cats, which that was often, I heard, something that often was used quite a lot, not just in the UK, but throughout the different European countries and territories as well. Most notoriously, of course, Italy with the Colosseum. Now, some researchers say these animals have been lurking in the British countryside since Roman times. No matter how they got there, many believe there is a breeding population of large predatory cats in England and across Great Britain. British phantom cats are usually black and believed to be panthers, jaguars, or leopards. All of these species have the potential to be black, though it is not very common. Possibly a small genetic pool has led to the population of black animals in Britain, or maybe they are something else entirely. Now, to go to another country, or continent, if you will, phantom cats have been spotted in Australia for over 100 years. Interestingly, at least some leaders in Australia are taking the problem seriously. In 2003, the New South Wales government stated that it is more than likely than not that there is a population of big cats existing near Sydney. The U.S. military, believe it or not, is apparently to blame again, just like in the case of the UK, having brought them into the country during World War II. But here again, there are accounts dating back well before this time period. Another theory says American gold miners may have brought them back in the 1850s. Feral cats are a big problem in Australia, but cats neither big nor small are indigenous to the continent. However, Australia does have cat-like marsupials, sometimes called native cats. Is it possible that large cats in Australia could be a completely unknown species of a giant marsupial, of a product of convergent evolution, where an animal similar to a predatory cat evolved in the outback? Such a beast did, in fact, interestingly enough, once wander the Australian countryside. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Thylacoleo carnifex, the marsupial lion, was no lion at all, but a massive carnivorous relative of kangaroos, wallabies, and wombats. It was about the size of a modern tiger, and experts say it may have even hidden its prey in trees like a leopard. Science says it went extinct 46,000 years ago. But what are the chances at least some sightings in Australia are due to a remnant population of marsupial lions? So, which is a very good question. Now, focusing on us. People in the United States have been seeing big black cats in states like North Carolina, Mississippi, Delaware, and even Hawaii. Here, too many sightings are attributed to escaped animals or those let loose by incompetent keepers. But there are a few other interesting theories as well. One says that populations of jaguars in South America and Mexico are making their way steadily northward. Black jaguars, while uncommon, are possible in nature and may account for sightings in the southern United States. Another possibility exists to explain at least some of these sightings. The cougar, or mountain lion, which of course, as we all know, is certainly native, especially in the western part of the United States, the mountainous regions, at one point once ranged throughout the U.S., but hasn't been acknowledged in the eastern states for almost 100 years. Like many more dangerous species, the cougar was beaten back and hunted by settlers in an effort to make the land safe. For humans, anyway, that is. After decades of absence, which, by the way, I mean, this animal we're talking about was what was known as the eastern cougar that once existed throughout the eastern U.S., especially the mountainous forest areas, basically like the eastern counterpart of the western mountain lion. But after decades of absence, the eastern cougar was officially declared extinct by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in 2011, which, I get the idea of why they wanted to make the area safe, but I'm pretty sure that the eastern cougar, as dangerous as it is, and just like many other type of predatory animals, as dangerous as some of these animals might be, you also kind of have to remember that they probably serve a beneficial purpose for especially the woods. So the fact that the eastern cougar is now most likely extinct, it's certainly a sad loss because it probably must have had quite a big benefit to the forest. So just a shame. However, with these sightings that we're talking about, nevertheless, some believe western cougar populations are making their way east back to their original territory. So maybe it's possible, while it may not even be the same type of cougar or cat, at least if my reports are correct, the western cougar populations are probably doing whatever they possibly can or their best to take the eastern cougar's place to, I guess you got to say, carry on the legacy, if you will. So if they truly are making their way back east, that would probably really help. Hopefully now, if we know better in this case, hopefully that could really help out with us. I mean, help us out a lot in the case with other type of animal overpopulation, because it could really help out nonetheless. But however, even though they're saying that if it's the western cougar populations, it is quite possible. Others, however, say the eastern cougar may still live, which is very likely because, you hunt down these animals, you may be able to kill a whole bunch of them, but there's always going to be a few that will never be found and will be able to escape being hunted or escape detection, which that definitely does, once again, give some hope for the future. I've always learned when it comes to certain animals that are extinct, if you leave just one seed and you leave that animal alone, there is always a likely chance it will eventually breed and create a new population. And if we leave those animals alone, maybe eventually we'll have, if these cats are basically the eastern cougar, maybe eventually we'll have a new population in the future. So you never know. You never know. But though not acknowledged by state game commissions, hunters and woodsmen have made unofficial sightings of cougars as far east as Pennsylvania, Virginia, and New England. Could the cougar be an explanation for many big cat sightings in the eastern U.S.? However, one thing that's worth a note, cougars aren't black, of course, but in the right lighting conditions, a terrified witness may not know the difference. Now, additionally, after talking that it's been seen in UK, Australia, and the United States, to add even more to it where these creatures have been seen. Alien big cats have also been spotted in Denmark, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. We can only imagine how they may have gotten there or what they are up to. They apparently roam freely in Great Britain, are making reappearances in the eastern United States, and have the backing of the government in Australia. This either proves that people have wild imaginations, or these predators are more stealthy and enduring than anyone imagined. Or it proves that there are unknown species out there that yet to be discovered. While this would be amazing, certainly it would make things a little uncomfortable for those living within the home range of this creature. An undocumented species of large cat discovered anywhere in the world would surely make headlines. Almost as interesting as the idea that an already known species may have established a foothold far from its original domain. It happens with smaller animals, which move to new territories to become an invasive species. Now, just before we get to the next segment, because the rest of the slideshow, as usual, we're going to be focusing on the, hang on one second. As usual, we're going to be focusing on several different sightings that have been going on. Hello, Yvonne. Good to see you. I'm doing great. Not very much going on in the chat, but no big deal. All right, so going right back, since I had to make quick, short business of it. So let's get to the sightings. And what we're going to do, because like I said, unfortunately, with this show, it's going to be, like I said, this is definitely going to be a two-parter. So the way I'm going to be kind of picturing this slideshow, we're going to focus basically on a lot of the sightings that have been going on throughout the world. And most likely in the case when we eventually, and we're going to be doing this in alphabetical order. So in the case with eventually getting to the reports in the United States, there's a likely chance I may have to save that for next week because, again, this is a really long slideshow. I mean, I basically have covered almost every sighting I could find on these phantom cats. And I don't really do that very often for a lot of cryptids, like especially like Bigfoot. But in this case, the alien big cats is one of the rare exceptions. So, and it will also be more interesting because I got photo evidence and video evidence of these creatures. I wasn't able to find all of it together. I wasn't able, even though I do mention, it will be mentioned several times. There are going to be a number of videos and photos that, although mentioned, I won't be able to provide because I was looking all over the internet for them and I just couldn't find them. But I do have some of that evidence. So let's start off with Australia. Sightings of exotic big cats in Australia, like I said before, began more than 200 years ago. The New South Wales state government reported in 2003. Okay, this is the same information again. So you know what? We're just gonna fast forward. So I'll get rid of this later. So we'll start off in Gippsland. In the Gippsland region of southeastern Victoria, American World War II airmen brought cougars with them as mascots and allegedly released them in the Australian bush. Dr. John Henry, a researcher from Deakin University, studied the reported sightings of a cat-like creature known as the Gippsland phantom cat from the 1970s and concluded that it was beyond reasonable doubt that large cats were roaming the Grampians region. The tale of the Gippsland big cat is closely related to similar tales of exotic carnivorous felines that have been reported for many decades in the Blue Mountains west of Sydney and commonly known as the Blue Mountains panther. We'll actually be getting to that a little bit later. So we're going to kind of focus basically because in Australia, just like here in the United States, different areas, they're comprised of states. So we're going to be focusing on different states of Australia. Some believe that the origin of the Gippsland phantom cat, if it did indeed exist, may be traced back, once again, back to animals let loose by United States soldiers based in Victoria, Australia during World War II. A pair of pumas or other large cats were used as mascots. Okay, so this seems to be going a little bit more into description. Upon the end of the war, it is speculated that the pumas were released into the wild, somewhere in the Gippsland region, although some claim the cats were released in the Grampians National Park, where they subsequently bred. Another theory is that they could be the descendants of animals released into the wild by people who kept them as pets and found them to be unmanageable. Geez, I gotta say, for those, if that's the case that they were released into the wild and that they were originally pets, that must have been a very dangerous thing to do, considering how big these creatures get, and especially those claws, the sharp teeth, and the just unimaginable strength and speed that these cougars often have. So one piece of evidence does stand out above the rest, though. Real quick, I don't show this kind of stuff very often on the show, but with what I'm going to present, it's going to be kind of it is going to be kind of graphic. This is going to be presenting a carcass of one of these phantom cats. So I do want to warn you guys that this photo is going to be kind of graphic, so viewer discretion is advised. But in June 2010, Kurt Engel, a deer hunter from Noble Park, was approached by a big black cat while hunting deer near the city of Sale. He shot it, destroying the head, but cut the tail off as proof. Engel photographed the dead cat before cutting off its tail and dumping the body in a river. The tail measured around 26 inches, twice as long as a normal cat's, and a skin sample was sent off to Monash University for analysis. The results came back with the conclusion that it was just a large domestic feral cat, although it was verified as being the size of a panther. Studies that reference the tail have also brought up concerns that it may have been carelessly stretched at some point during the skinning process. Skeptics of the DNA results say that it doesn't rule out that it may be a descendant of a big cat. Now, another sighting was on April 26, 2017. 40-year-old Sarah Joyce was walking around her previous neighborhood of Newton in inner city Sydney when she found herself stalked by a giant cat while bushwalking near Martin's Lookout in Springwood. About 2 o'clock, I saw a huge black body with a huge black tail jumping over the fence over into the bush towards me, she said. I started seeing it in the bush, the body of it. I never saw its face, and I thought this thing is stalking me. It was jumping ahead of me on either side about 10 meters away until I didn't see it anymore. Miss Joyce said the animal was too large to have been an ordinary feral cat. It was very much bigger, she said. Her mobile phone's battery had died earlier on the 3-hour walk, so she couldn't take any photos of the incident, she said. She is unconcerned skeptics may doubt her tale. I'm just concerned someone might get hurt. I don't give a toss if people believe me or not. Now, in 2000, video footage screened on national television recently showed a sleek, muscular, dark-skinned cat, similar to an American puma, loping through long grass in the rugged Grampian Mountains of Victoria. Pumas are normally, that's the other thing. Pumas are normally tawny in color, though darker individuals do occur. The video, shot by Stephen Temby from Melbourne, could corroborate other evidence, such as photographs and plaster casts of pug marks, which suggests that big cats may be breedings in parts of the Australian bush. Now, unfortunately, there is a news clip that does show the footage that is available on YouTube. Unfortunately, because I usually prefer getting the actual footage itself, I was unable to locate the actual footage alone. But you can find it though on this news clip on YouTube, although considering it was made almost 25 years ago, the footage is old and the sound is kind of a little bit garbled. So, and the picture is a little bit pixelated, but you can still see something moving through the bushes. So it's a compelling piece of footage. Now, John McParland, who saw the video 8 years after his encounter, said to his wife, "That's it. That's what I saw." So apparently he had an encounter 8 years earlier. Around the same time, Geoff Green, a retired professional game hunter who owns a farm not far away from Mr. McParland, has found the remains of sheep, which he believes have been killed by one or more big cats. He has also collected eyewitness accounts from farmers, park rangers, and police officers. A spokesman for Victoria's Department of Natural Resources said rangers were skeptical that big cats lived in the wild. Sightings, he believed, were probably of large feral cats, of which there are thousands in the wild in Australia. Many Australians dismiss such official explanations. Terry O'Gorman, a truck driver, says he saw a leopard-sized cat while driving with his fiancee through Namadgi National Park near Canberra on Boxing Day last year. Okay, I guess that meant to be like 2000. I think that was either 2000 or 1999. He said it was about 9 in the morning, and I was driving slowly because light rain was falling, and I was on a dirt road. Suddenly, a big black cat jumped out from bushes on the left and ran across the track. It stood about as high as a Doberman. I hit the brakes because I thought I was going to hit it. Mr. O'Gorman said the animal was too large to be a feral cat. He said, "I reckon it was a panther. A lot of my friends work on properties, farms in the area, and they have similar stories." A study by Deakin University concluded that the existence of big cats in the Grampian Mountains could not be definitively demonstrated based on available evidence. The evidence was strong enough, however, for the author to believe the probability of big cats in the area is beyond reasonable doubt. Now, moving forward to oh, you know what? Okay, I think I might have got something mixed up, but I'll fix it later. So now, actually focusing on Grampians in Victoria, another phantom cat, known as the Grampians puma, is an animal that was sighted chasing an emu along a dirt road near the Black Range. It has been seen disappearing into the scrub near Glenisla Crossing, Brodnick Brimpan, if I'm saying that right. Canova, geez, I'm just butchering some of these names. Lemon Springs, Raids Lookout, the Mount Talbot area, and Toolunda. There is a body of news clippings spanning the period from 1964 to 2006, which records the sightings of a black puma-like beast in the Grampians. In 1976 and 77, Deakin University staff and students conducted a study into the possibility of big cats living in the Grampians. Some compelling evidence was collected, but it was not fully conclusive and has been challenged by other studies. Regardless, the evidence has been used by researchers to affirm the presence of a population of big cats in the Grampians in their own studies. A wildlife expert conducted his own investigation in the 80s and was surprised to find many forestry workers and other industry staff from the area say they had encounters with black or brown pumas. Farmers in the region also showed off photos they had taken of sheep hanging from trees. Although pumas don't tend to come to the darker colors reported by witnesses, the wildlife expert proposed that dark-colored pumas could be possible due to inbreeding, which that could be one. I could see that understanding. One piece of unexplained evidence was a cat found in Winchester in 1991. Barbara Triggs, an expert in animals, they're called scats, okay. An expert in animal scats identified the fecal sample as most likely belonging to a leopard and isolated several hairs from the scat that she believed the animal may have inadvertently ingested while grooming itself. Mitochondrial DNA in the hares was tested in 2000, and the sequence was confirmed as belonging to a leopard, though the scientist who tested them said he could not rule out contamination. There's a lot of uncertainty around the origin of the scat, Menkor says. It's very inconclusive. In 1992, John McParlin from the same small town of Daylesford in central Victoria spends much of his time hunting rabbits with his ferrets. He had an encounter with what he says was a black panther, a leopard. Mr. McParlin said, this is what I was talking about earlier, said, I came up over a rise to view the area where I was going to hunt. I looked down the slope towards where the rabbits normally are and saw a great big black cat about 100 yards in front of me. I watched it for 5 minutes as it went along a gully and eventually disappeared. What really struck me was its tail, which was thick and sloped downwards, excuse me. Now, most recently in April 2020, while walking through the Victorian high country, two brothers came across a really big black cat and managed to get footage of it. They watched it for a few minutes before it disappeared. In June of that year, another video of what was called the Otway Panther was filmed out south of Baramonga. I guess that's how you say it. And here's the cool part. In this case, I do have those two videos. So we're going to start off with oh, wait a minute. Oh, whoops. Okay, I forgot. I forgot. What am I saying? I forgot to get rid of that old footage. You know what? Tell you what, let me get rid of that right now before I forget. Hold on, bear with me for just a second, guys. And you know what? This will actually be a good time to check in on, after I get this fixed, check in on the comments again, just to give some shout outs to everybody. Okay, so let me try to go through this again as usual. We already went through all that. Okay. Let's see. Hey, Natalie, good to see you here. You came in actually at a good time to talk, to see what I'm going to be what I'm talking about tonight. So really, really appreciate it. Okay, now let me go through this routine again. Let's try this. Okay, here we go. Back to where we were. So now, okay, so this is what I already said. And then I said, yeah, there was another video. The Otway Panther was filmed. And then additionally, I got something else to show you guys as well. That same month, professional photographer Amber Nasida, I guess if I'm saying that right, was driving home from taking pictures of birds at Mount Sabine on Saturday afternoon. Well, she spotted an unusual animal, which she initially thought was a black wallaby, a black cat-like animal obscured by grass. She pulled over and started using her camera's viewfinder to focus on the animal and realized it was a large cat. That's the biggest cat I've ever seen, she said. It was jet black and it had a really long, sleek back. It wasn't tall looking at the photos, but when it was sitting on the side of the road, it certainly looked a lot taller. And she ended up supposedly she took a few photos, so I was only able to find one photo, and this is the actual photograph that was taken by her. So that's quite a clear shot of the supposed ABC. So yeah, real clear photo. Now on to the videos. So here is the first video I was talking. This is the one from April of 2020. It's only like a 30-second video, but it's still quite interesting to look at what they captured. Watch carefully. Can you see that right here? See a figure? Yeah, it made no noise whatsoever. It's just completely silent. It's quite an interesting one. All right, now on to the second one. This one's also, I think, a short one too. Oh yeah, this is when it comes to the Otway Panther. I'm gonna mute this because I do know the music is a little loud. So unfortunately, there's music accompanied it, so you don't really get to hear it too much. So here we go. Yeah, this one points for you. You see something moving? Little dot right there. Don't worry, the video will eventually. Yep, see, you got it zoomed in. Yeah, it's too bad that he had to move the camera. It's an interesting little video. Now, going to the next spot, the Blue Mountains in New South Wales. What is known as the Lithgow Panther, aka Blue Mountains Panther, is a moniker attributed to one or several supposed big cats living in the mountains to the west of Sydney, New South Wales. Out of all Australia's phantom cats, the Lithgow Panther is the most reported on in the media, and videos and photographs tend to be a lot more common and clearer. Once again, this is not an actual photograph. I'm just, again, using it as a substitute just to kind of describe these creatures. Sightings of big cats in the area have been going on for well over 100 years, but studies seem to suggest that the frequency grew in the late 90s, or at least it became easier for people to report them due to the creation of a citizen watch group. Speculation about the Blue Mountains Panther includes the theory that it is descended from either circus or zoo escapees, or once again is a descendant of a military mascot. In recent years, reports of the Blue Mountains Panthers have become increasingly frequent, particularly around the towns of Lithgow and Grosse Vale. On several occasions, witnesses have reported being confronted by large, dark-colored feline creatures that are described as being much larger than any known feral cat. The sightings did cause the head of the culture department at the time to write a letter of concern, stating, "The reports are becoming too frequent for us to ignore the possibility. To do so could bring into question the government's duty of care if these alleged attacks happen to result in injury to a person." On several occasions, witnesses have reported being. Oh, wait. Okay. Apparently, part of that got repeated, so I'm gonna move forward. On one occasion in Kenhurst and SW, a young boy was badly scratched by a large cat resembling outside his home in August 2000. On March 20th, 2003, these concerns came true when a 17-year-old boy was attacked on his own property. The Labrador-sized cat leapt a considerable length at the teenager, causing him to put his arms up in defense. The cat clawed at his arms and stomach until the teenager managed to punch it in the face, where it then ran off into the darkness. Preceding the attack, the teenager became ill with cat scratch fever. Researchers Mike Williams and Ruby Lang and witnesses Chris Coffey, Ken Pullen, and Karen Dolan have helped to maintain a database of sightings across the greater Blue Mountains and Sydney Basin region. The database has been used extensively by the state government to investigate the phenomenon and has been utilized by the media. In 2013, weeks after the government declared the Blue Mountains Big Cat file closed, a Sydney father has spoken of a terrifying encounter with a panther-like creature outside his home. Peter Russell told NSW police he feared for his life after being stalked by a large, completely foreign feline predator at Riverstone on the fringes of dense National Park bushland. Oh, and this is Peter Russell himself right there. It has been sighted at least 12 times in the Riverstone area over recent years. On Thursday, the member for Hawkesbury, Ray Williams, warned the government to rethink its position or face being accountable in the event of a tragedy. Actually, I think that's Ray Williams coming to think of it. I think I got that wrong. He said as he looked along the path that led up the street, a very large, broad, cat-like creature ran straight for him. This was definitely no dog, he said. It had a low, rumbling growl. It was between knee and hip height, extremely stocky and very fast. I spun on my heel and ran back toward the house. I didn't know that I was going to make it to the door. My mind was completely thrown by what I had just witnessed. I thought I was a goner. Mr. Russell made it safely inside and called Riverstone police. Unfortunately, which you see a lot, again, you see in a lot of these cryptid cases, the police didn't take the report seriously. Video footage showing a large black cat near Lithgow was examined by a group of 7 zoo, museum, parks, and agriculture staff, who concluded that it was a large domestic cat, 2 to 3 times normal size, based partly on its morphology and partly on the behavior of a nearby normal-sized domestic cat. Just real quick, I feel like there was something missing. Okay, maybe there wasn't. Okay. Now going to the next state, Sunshine Coast, Queensland. There have been some claims that big cats have stalked the hinterland of the Sunshine Coast, Queensland, since early in the 19th century. These claims have been met with skepticism, of course. Legend also has it that a circus convoy crashed in 1959, about 300 kilometers from Udlo, and a family of panthers were lost. Buderim and other forested areas were most common locations for sightings on the coast. Sightings were reported in Palmwood in 1975, Glasshouse Mountains in 1980, the Maloney area in 1997, and Inglewood in 2000. Hold on. Excuse me. Jeez, sorry, I had to get that out of my system. In 2002, a Kenhurst teenager, Luke Walker, was attacked by what he stated to be a large feline. He suffered deep lacerations. Sightings have been made by an NSW police force detective, an officer of the Department of Agriculture, and Royal Fire Service personnel, as well as pilots. In 2009, a panther-like cat was reported to be roaming near Gympie. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That same year, Glenwood resident Colin Rossell claims to have found footprints of big cats on his property north of Gympie. Or John, I really hope I'm not saying that incorrectly. Plaster cats of the paw prints, which he believes are from 2 different cats. He reported the largest print was 14.5 centimeters long and 13 centimeters wide. They've got retractable claws, whereas a dog hasn't. Mr. Rossell said they've got the toenails on top of their toes, and these are retractable, just like the little household pussy. In 2014, a farmer named John Rourke reported seeing a large black panther-like creature twice. The first encounter was on School Road, Udio, 15 months ago. At first, he thought it was a black Labrador, but it didn't travel like a black lab, and it had a tail about 1 meter long. Mr. Rourke said he urged local farmers to beware and protect their young livestock. His encounter has been one of several reported for over 17 years. In 2018, Grant Denyer and his wife, television producer Cheryl Rogers, reported to have sighted the cat on their property. Photographs have also been recorded in Gippsland and Hawkesbury. Encounters continue to be reported upon in national newspapers as of July 2020, when video footage was allegedly recorded on the grounds of Sydney Adventist Hospital, Warunga. Most recently, in April of that year, the GoPro Associated Instagram collective Blumens explore shared photographs of alleged big cat tracks discovered during a mountain trek. The Grossvale Group, which has collected reports of sightings since 1998, claims it collects 20 to 30 sightings a year. And the cool part is, once again, I do have the footage from the what is it, the July 2020 encounter near that hospital. And this is once again clear footage. And obviously, I always apologize just the size of the video because, of course, this was taken off an iPhone. But you'll definitely see something. I won't even have to point it to you. You guys will see it right away. You can even see it right now in the frame of this video. So here it is. Yeah, it's now the guy who recorded it. He actually said, as calm as it seems in that video, he was actually very nervous. I mean, he was actually scared when he shot this piece of footage because he actually thought that this animal would eventually. I mean, it did kind of turn to his direction briefly, kind of facing the camera. He actually was kind of worried that this creature was going to attack him, considering that it's being watched. But fortunately, it didn't. As you saw, it went right back into the woods. So finally, I think this is the last area of Australia, Tantanoola. Tantanoola is known for the Tantanoola tiger, another phantom cat which supposedly stalked the area during the late 19th century. In August 1895, an animal was shot by one Thomas John Donovan, which was believed to have been the mysterious predator. The animal turned out to be more like a wolf than a cat. Now, this is one that kind of stands out a little bit, stands out from a lot of the other phantom cat cases. Sightings after the Tantanoola tiger are somewhat more scarce on the details, but there are at least a handful of known reports from between 1900 and 1940, with one being investigated by a fisheries and game officer. As well as during 1924, a cougar escaped from a traveling circus in Victoria and lived wild for a short time before being captured and shot. That's kind of sad that they had to shoot it. Later, it was determined to be an Arabian wolf. However, although how it arrived in South Australia has been the subject of a number of theories. It is currently preserved and on display at the Tantanoola Hotel, which is also known colloquially as the Tantanoola Tiger Hotel. So that's the actual carcass stuffed up. Tantanoola Caves Conservation Park, featuring a spectacular dolomite cave, is located nearby. Of the reports mentioned, one was given a name, the Emmaville Panther. And although the majority of its sightings were after World War II, it's during that time where things get interesting for phantom cat origin theories. Oh, wait, this is the last one. I'm sorry. And finally, this is the real last one for Western Australia. In 1972, excuse me, in 1972, in Kilja, Western Australia, a farmer found a number of his piglets had been killed in a brutal manner. Soon after, he discovered a sheep being rounded up by two black creatures with long tails. He gave chase along with a game warden, but to no avail. 5 years later, ranchers in Quartering, about 5 hours south of Kilja, began to report that thousands of their sheep were being killed in a terrifyingly precise way that no native animal could achieve. Kangaroos were also found with large puncture wounds to their heads. Following that, in Carnarvon, much further to the north, a photo of what looked like a big cat was captured, though it was mostly in silhouette. A Norwegian zoologist also alleged he saw a leopard-like animal in a national forest north of Perth. These creatures were given a number of names, including the Quartering cougar, the Jardale jaguar, and the Nunnup panther, which unfortunately, once again, as much as I tried looking, I wasn't able to locate the photograph. Despite the lack of evidence, their existence was widely accepted by the public, and a number of theories were put forth. Okay, so that's basically the sightings I was able to find, all the sightings I was able to find in Australia. Now we're going to go to the next continent. Next up, Britain. Or I should probably start next up, Europe, in this case, Britain. Since the 1960s, there have been many alleged sightings of big cats across Great Britain. A 15-month survey conducted in 2003 to 2004 by the British Big Cat Society gave the following regional breakdowns based on 2,052 sightings. Southwest, 21%, Southeast, 16%, East Anglia, 12%, Scotland, 11%, and West Midlands, 9%. Since 1903, a number of exotic cats, all of which are thought to have escaped from captivity, have been killed or captured. These sightings are often reported as panthers, pumas, or black cats. Their existence is unproven, but many suggestions exist to explain how these animals might have come to inhabit Britain, including that they are animals released after the Dangerous Wild Animal Acts 1976 came into force, or that they are surviving Ice Age fauna. Nobody knows when the first reported sighting of a big cat was made, but it is a well known fact that exotic animals were brought into this country to go into menagerie collections as early as the 1600s. Therefore, it just could be that the legends of the wished hounds and black dogs have their roots in an escaped animal for the early menageries. I think that's actually how you're supposed to say it. It would certainly explain the green eyes that appear in many of the stories. That's the other thing, too. Many of these reports often say that they have these spectacular green eyes during the encounter. Oh, I forgot to add a fade in for that one. Well, tell you what, before we get started, let me just go back to the studio quick. Hey, Anthony. Yes, there are a lot more panthers in the area. You're absolutely correct. All right. The New Forest folktale of the Stratford Lion tells of how John D. Stratford pulled a giant red antlered lion from the ground at South Baddesley in the New Forest in the year 1400. The story is first recorded in the marginalia of an 18th century Bible. In the late 20th century, sightings of the lion were recorded in the vicinity of the Red Lion pub, Boulder. In the 1760s, the great radical writer William Cobbett, which is him right here, recalled in his Rural Rides how, as a boy, he had seen a cat as big as a middle-sized spaniel dog climbed into a hollow elm tree in the grounds of the ruined Waverley Abbey near Farnham in Surrey. And later in New Brunswick, he saw a Lucifer, North American lynx, Felis lynx canadensis, if I'm saying that right. And it seemed to me to be just such a cat I had seen at Waverley. Another old report was found by David Walker from the Times in 1827 of a lynx being seen. Further, back there is a medieval Welsh poem, Pagwr, in the Black Book of Carmarthen, which mentions a Cath Pollag, meaning Pollock's cat or clawing cat, which roamed angelously until slain by sea. In the Welsh triads, it was the offspring of the monstrous sow Henwen. Now, a Canadian lynx shot in Devon in 1903 is now in the collection of the Bristol Museum. Analysis of its teeth suggests that prior to its death, it had spent a significant amount of time in captivity. Current interest in big cat reports appeared to stem from the late 1950s with news stories of the Surrey puma and fen tiger. In 1963, the Shooter's Hill cheetah was reported from that area of London. And in 1964 came similar reports from Norfolk. From the 1970s, reports spread across the country as the Beast of Exmoor was reported from Devon, and Somersetton, the Shepherd panther, has been rumored to exist since that decade. The Beast of Bodmin Moor was a panther-like creature reportedly seen several times in Cornwall in southwest England from 1978. In 1980 came the first modern report from Scotland and the Kellis cat was shot there in 1984. That same year, a puma was captured in Inverness Shire, Scotland. The capture followed several years of sightings in the area of a big cat matching the descriptions of the one captured. However, it is believed that the captured puma was in fact an abandoned pet. The puma was subsequently put into a zoo and given the name Felicity, and this is an actual photo of this cat. When it died, it was stuffed and placed in Inverness Museum, which is where it remains today. On 2 separate occasions, jungle cats have been found dead after being hit by a car, with the most accepted theory being that these are the individuals escaped from private ownership. In 1983, a farmer by the name of Eric Wade, South Moulton, a small town in the southern English countryside of Devon, reported a startling loss in livestock. 100 sheep had been killed, apparently violently, over a period of 3 months. Their throats had been slashed across and ripped out. Farm animal deaths in the area have been sporadically blamed on the Beast of Exmoor ever since. The public reacted swiftly. The Daily Express offered the equivalent of a $1,600 reward for video footage of the beast. More surprisingly, the British government sent a group of Royal Marines snipers into the hills to find and possibly kill the creature. The seriousness with which they treated the mission can probably be assessed through the name they gave it, Operation Beastie. Still, the snipers looked for 3 nights until the Ministry of Defense called off the search due to concerns they might mistakenly shoot one of several reward-seeking amateur photographers thought to be on the same hunt. It is unclear exactly how many people actually saw the beast. By some accounts, a few of the Marines did see something, though after the search's end, the Express stated that the only witness was a 16-year-old girl being driven to work. At first, I thought it was a cat, but it was too big for that, she said. It was black and had a long tail. There was white on each foot. The trouble with the monster that's said to look mostly just like a normal house pet, but a little bigger, is that it can be hard to know the difference. Superintendent Douglas McClary, also quoted in the Express, conceded rather troublingly, until we shoot the damn thing, we don't know what it is. Now, in 1988, the Ministry of Agriculture took the unusual step of sending in Royal Marines to carry out a massive search for the rumored Beast of Exmoor after an increase in the number of mysteriously killed livestock and farmer complaints of subsequent loss of money. Several Marines claimed to have seen the cat fleetingly, but nothing other than a fox was ever found. The Department for Environment, Food, and Rural Affairs have published a list of predatory cats that they know to have escaped in the United Kingdom, although most of these have been recaptured. That same year, a large skull was found in Dartmoor, possibly that of a puma. It was later thought to have come from a big cat skin rug, which we just mentioned Dartmoor. We're actually going to be talking a little bit. We're going to talk about some of that in just a short while. Also, later that year, a farmer shot a leopard cat that was attacking his poultry. The animal was thought to have escaped from a traveler's camp. Oh, I forgot another fade-in for this one. In 1989, a jungle cat that had been hit by a car was found on the roadside in Shropshire. In 1991, a Eurasian lynx. You know what? Tell you what, I could even fix this right now. I know I don't really do this very often, but it won't make a lot of sense. It won't make a lot of sense, but I know you guys are probably going to wonder exactly when this image was shot. So give me a second here once again. And yep, okay. Give me 1 second here, guys. Okay, I only got about less than 20 minutes left, so just want to let everybody be aware. So, yeah, in 1991, a Eurasian lynx was shot near Norwich, Norfolk. Then on March 7th of that year in Grimsby, 3 lions escaped famous circus owner Mary Chipperfield's Big Top and ran away. Roaming the streets, one of the lions mauled a man named Michael Strand. The lions were eventually recaptured and returned to captivity. I'm actually surprised that they didn't kill the lion that mauled Michael Strand. It had killed around 15 sheep within the, but it did also kill around 15 sheep within 2 weeks. The story was only reported in 2003, and the stuffed body of the lynx is allegedly now in the possession of a collector in Suffolk. For many years, this incident was considered to have been a hoax, particularly by the hunting community. But in March 2006, a police report confirmed that the case was true. It was probably an escapee from a facility in the area that bred animals, including Eurasian lynxes. Greater interest in phantom cats grew from headline stories of the Beast of Bodmin from 1992 and Dumfries in Galloway, the Galloway puma, as it's known over there. In 1993, a leopard was shot on the Isle of Wight after feasting on chickens and ducks. There have been reports that in 1993, yet another puma was captured in Scotland, this time the Aviemore area. In 1994, footage of a large black cat was recorded in Cambridgeshire by a man named William Rooker. It was named in the media as the Fen Tiger. Now, unfortunately, once again, I wasn't able to find the video, but I did manage to find a still shot of it, and this is the actual shot itself. So this is as close as what I could find for the video. So I tried looking on YouTube. Again, my first place I would usually go to find these videos would be on YouTube. So I tried searching for it, but I just couldn't find some of these videos. So, but having a still shot is better than nothing. Of course, obviously, it's blurry and small, but it does seem to show a fairly big black cat roaming a field. In 1996, police in Fintona County, Tyrone, Northern Ireland, shot a cat. It was reportedly a carousel, a medium-sized wild species found in Africa and Asia, although a police report described it as a lynx. In March and July 1997, a large black cat, this is where we're going to bring up Dartmoor, known as the Beast of Dartmoor, was sighted between 2 bridges in Princetown. Which I'm sure I'm probably going to cover in a future episode of Nick Files. It is truly, if anybody from the UK is watching, you probably know this already, that Dartmoor is truly a hot spot for many urban legends that just basically live throughout the entire countryside of Dartmoor, which, in case anybody knows, for those that don't know where Dartmoor is, that's basically real down southern England. So it's a very rural area where few people actually live, but it definitely, like I said, it's such a hot spot for many different legends, not just on the Beast of Dartmoor, but many different ghost stories, even I don't mean fairy tales, but actual tales of fairies. A lot of different, paranormal stories revolving around. If I ever was to go to the UK, Dartmoor would be one of those areas I would love to check out and investigate. Now, in March of 1998, the Beast of Dartmoor was sighted near Butterton Hill. Another fate I never got to add. In October of that year, boys were camping on the moor near Giant Basin and were awoken by strange noises. In the morning, they found evidence that 2 big cats had clawed through the outer tent. In November, the Beast of Dartmoor was sighted again in Cheston, near Rangaton, and later in the month, huge tooth marks were found in a tin of cat food. Rubbish sacks torn apart and large paw prints left with which wildlife experts believe to be a puma's. On November 21st, schoolboys reported being attacked whilst camping on Dartmoor. One reported the cat was roughly the size of a Great Dane, and another described its appearance as somewhat resembling, once again, a lynx. Despite this, the animal came to be known as the Dartmoor lion. Upon police inspection, a paw print casted by big cat specialist Robin Goodbeer proved to belong to a big cat. In 1999, the beast of Dartmoor was sighted in Cornwood. A retriever Rottweiler cross with eczema was concluded to be a culprit of numerous ABC reports. In 2000, there's another attack. An 11-year-old boy named Josh Hopkins in Monmouthshire was attacked by what he claims was a large black cat. The boy was playing outside his house in Trellick when the creature attacked, and he came out with 5 long claw marks, some across his left cheek on his face, which needed immediate medical treatment. The police called in a big cat expert to investigate the incident. It is thought that this is credited to a house cat rather than any wild cat. In a well-reported 2001 case, another lynx, the beast of Barnet, a young female Eurasian lynx, was captured alive by police and vets in Cricklewood, North London, after a chase across school playing fields and into a block of flats. The lynx was considerably larger than an average domestic cat. The lynx was placed in London Zoo and was given the name Lara before ultimately being transferred to a zoo in France to breed. The captured lynx was found to be only 18 months old, although considerably larger than an average domestic cat. In May of that year, a woman reported a large cat in her back garden in Cricklewood, London, which she described as a leopard. Once the animal was sedated, it was found to be a European lynx and was transferred to London Zoo. It is still unknown where it came from. In 2004, footage was recorded of what appears to be a large black cat near a farm in Shropshire. The cat had been seen by the farmers on numerous occasions. And believe it or not, that same year, in April, another large cat resembling the beast of Dartmoor was spotted on Maniton Green, Dartmoor, and it's supposedly responsible for the deaths of 14 hens in the area. Also that same year, a puma-like animal, again possibly the beast of Dartmoor, was spotted by 2 Dartmoor walkers about northeastern Drewsterington. I think that's how you're supposed to say it. In 2005, a man lived in Sydenham Park in southeast London was attacked in his back garden, which backed onto a railway line. The man, who was 6 feet and weighed 15 stone, described the cat as being a big black figure that pounced on him and was considerably stronger than he was. He was left with scratches all over his body. Police were called, and according to the BBC, one police officer saw a cat the size of a Labrador dog. Again, hang on one second. I got another error here. I don't know how this sometimes happens, because I definitely do recall that I did put the fade ins, but I don't know if it's because I just transfer it onto another computer and not everything is put up like it's supposed to, but let's see here. Give me 1 second here, guys. Okay, here we go. Now we're back. And once again, we just check on the live stream. Very quiet on the live stream today. It's no big deal. Okay, I only got about 8 minutes left, so we might actually have to cut this shorter than I'm expecting. In 2006, the Department for Environment, Food, and Rural Affairs had published a list of predatory cats typically kept as exotic pets that they know to have escaped in the United Kingdom, although most of these have been recaptured. I don't know if that's what I said before. A Devon farmer found a puma skull that same year, confirmed by the British Big Cat Society. However, the official statement by the DEFRA outlined, based on the evidence, DEFRA does not believe that there are big cats living in the wild in England. According to the Geelong Advertiser, a big black cat was sighted by Simon Ray Gallen near Erskine Falls in the Ottaway Forest. The date of the sighting is not clear, although the time is listed as 5:30 a.m. on the Erskine Falls Road. Ray Gallen estimates the cat as being 1.5 meters long and 50 centimeters tall. In June, a large black cat was recorded on the countryside of Banff, Aberdeenshire. Footage of the cat was broadcast by the BBC on May 24, 2007. In August of that year, a large jet black cat, once again the beast of Dartmoor, was observed for about 20 minutes as it stalked some grazing sheep and leads toward Dartmoor. It was reported that the beast was about a foot taller and twice as long as the sheep. In June 2008, a large black gray stocky beast said to resemble a bear seen ambling along a track below the Tor and Hound toward Dartmoor. That same year, a puma-like figure was photographed in Longford toward Dartmoor, and this is the actual photograph. Obviously, it's kind of hard to see from this, so I'm glad whoever put this together was able to zoom in exactly where this supposedly the beast of Longford Tor was standing. So definitely really good shot there, even though it's quite far away, but definitely a good zoom in. On June 30th, 2009, PC Chris Swallow was working in a friend's garden when he saw a large black animal on a nearby railway line in Helensbury, Argyll, Scotland. At first, he assumed it was a black Labrador and had concern for its welfare, as trains had been passing throughout the day. Being a Ministry of Defense police dog handler, he soon recognized that the animal did not move like a dog. Instead, he decided it was a big cat. After calling out to his friend to take a look, Swallow then ran to his vehicle to grab his camera phone and proceeded to take photographs and video of the cat. The animal was walking along a railway line in Helensburgh. Okay, I already said that. Large cats, either black or tan, have been reported in the area before. Another video, taken in 2009, coincided with an alleged sheep killing spree in the area. Now, once again, one final thing. It too is blurry, but there's definitely something black and cat-like at the far edges of the screen. Now, once again, I don't have that video, but I do have the video of Chris Swallow. And this is actually quite a clear, well, it's pixelated, but it still has a clear look to it. So here, check this out. Oh, and the noise that you're hearing, that's Chris Swallow breathing, because from what I remember hearing, he was actually kind of nervous seeing this thing. So can't blame the guy for making all this heavy breathing. Plus, he also ran to get his phone camera, so he was probably out of breath from running. So, yeah. Yeah, just walking along the railway, man. I actually don't blame the guy for the way how he was kind of breathing. Considering he had to run back and forth to get video, but also not knowing what this type of cat it was, that obviously, again, would be kind of an alarming sight. Large cat, I already said that before. I just want to make sure. Okay. All right. So later that year, video of what is claimed to be a large black cat was recorded in Herefordshire. Herefordshire. The sighting and video footage of the alleged big cat coincided with a spree of sheep killings in the same area. Also that same year, the carcass of an animal washed up near Croydon Bay in North Devon. This body caused much excitement as it looked like the remains of a large cat-like creature. it did not take long for people to speculate that these were the remains of the beast of Exmoor. Although it seemed that physical evidence for this legendary animal was finally available, it was later proven that the dead creature was a gray seal. Isn't that the truth? Oh, and I got one other. This is actually the video that it was just mentioned. This is another brief one, but it's another. This was quite a close encounter. Although the panther that they see in this video, that they show in this video, is relatively smaller compared to previous sightings. Oh, actually, no, I'm thinking of a different video. Okay, never mind. Yeah, it's quite a brief video. So you know what? Actually, I'll play it again for you guys. Skip the introduction. Okay, I guess it won't let me. Yeah, there's definitely something moving. It's definitely big. It's an interesting video. Okay, so in 2010, video footage was claimed to be a large black cat was recorded in Stroud, Gloucestershire. Experts have estimated that the creature was at least 5 feet in length from nose to tail. In the early months of 2011, a great number of sightings of a panther in Shotts, North Lanarkshire, stirred locals and began to be reported in the local press. After a couple of months, these reports ceased with the assumption that the panther had moved on to pastures new. Also, that same year, a family walking in Fauchebur's Wood, Inverness Shire, photographed a large black cat matching the description of a forest jaguar. And in this case, this is supposedly the photo of this cat, which clearly you can see it's looking away from the camera. I don't know if they actually got real close to it or they just happened to zoom in. I mean, that would have to be a zoom in as far as I'm concerned, because it would have been way too dangerous to, really encounter such an animal like this, especially that large. The Beast of Dartmoor once again was seen by a group of 15 people in the summer of 2011 at the Howden Forest. One of the most recent reports was that of a lion roaming around Essex during the summer of 2012. Initially sighted from a caravan park, there were also reports of a lion roaring heard in the local area. A photograph was taken by one witness, which this is the photo right here as well. Police advised local residents to stay indoors, and a search was made of the local area, but nothing was found, which is again typical of these cryptids. Local zoos and visiting circuses were contacted, but none reported an escaped lion. Miss Murphy later claimed the photograph was that of her pet Maine Coon cat, Teddy. Cotswold Big. Okay, I only got about another 2 minutes, guys, and then I gotta end this. Cotswold Big Cat is a purported big cat, or a number of big cats at large in the Cotswolds region of England, UK. A walker in Woodchester Park found the carcass of a roe deer on January 12, 2012, with injuries suggesting the animal may have been mauled by a large feline. A second similar deer carcass was found on January 16th. In analysis by University of Warwick scientists of the carcasses of deer purported to be killed and partially eaten by the Cotswold Big Cat, indicated DNA evidence of only foxes and other deer. Here's another fade-in that somehow didn't get through. Okay, so I think we're going to make this the last slide for tonight, because the slide after that goes to another country. So we're going to end it right here after this slideshow. What I'm going to do real quick, once again, because somehow the effects didn't go through, I'm just going to fix it. And then after that, I'm going to fix up this other effect. And then after that, we'll proceed. And then we'll call it a night afterwards, because I know there's another show waiting. Okay. Okay, I think I got it here. Okay, let's fix this picture up. Okay, here we go. Oh wait, hang on, I forgot. I gotta screen share it again. All righty, here we go. All right, so that same year was announced that announced that DNA testing on 2 deer carcasses found on Gloucestershire found only fox DNA, despite many locals reporting sightings and believing that the deer had been killed by a big cat. In 2013, in a small village on the Shropshire-Wrexham border, 2 sisters reported seeing a large black cat-like creature with a 3-foot stride jumping a fence and disappearing into a neighboring field. On returning in the day, they discovered a large lair in paw prints too big to belong to a domestic cat. A once-time zookeeper at Chester Zoo and Dudley Zoo, Mr. Larkham, agrees the paw prints do not belong to a domesticated cat, but are too small to be those of a panther. He believes it could be the descendant of the Shropshire jungle from the 1980s, or a gigantic domesticated cat. In 2017, a large cat-like creature was reported and filmed at Crowcombe Park Gate in Somerset's Quantock Hills. Given the number of sightings over such a long span of time, many believe that the notorious Beast of Exmoor is not one, but several animals. So, once again, I couldn't find the video, unfortunately. Now, most recently, in 2021, 30-year-old Sam Aston was stunned after coming within yards of the legendary Beast of Exmoor in broad daylight. He spotted the black long-tailed creature during a dog walk near Brayford, Devon, and this is an actual photo that he shot. It was about 11:45 a.m., and I looked into a big open empty field to my left, and 200 or 300 yards away, a black animal was running, Mr. Aston said. I couldn't make out what it was, so I grabbed my phone and took a pic for identification purposes. I'm a bit of a wildlife photographer, and I automatically went through a list. And was it a dog, a deer, or cow? I started to check off these animals. It ran like a cat, but there's no cat of that size in this country. It was the size of a big Labrador. It had a big long tail, and I watched it running for about 10 seconds, and then it was gone. I know what I think it was, but the idea of seeing a big cat in the UK is very, very unlikely. I'm a professional dog walker and know what a dog runs like, and dogs and cats run very differently. If it was a big cat, it was probably released years or decades ago. They're shy animals and don't seek conflict. I'd be more than happy to go back there again. In May of that year, a massive black cat was spotted and filmed prowling in Somerset Field. On July 14th, earlier this year, in fact, 2023, just after 10 p.m. and light was draining from the sky, when two villagers saw a very large black cat, the size, said one, of a Labrador. Silently, the animal stalked the edge of a field close to the village of Bridekirk, near Annan, before vanishing quickly out of sight. There have been conflicting reports of DNA evidence as to the existence of black cats in Britain. In 2011, it was announced by the Center for Fortean Zoology that DNA testing carried out by Durham University on hares found in North Devon showed that a leopard was living in the area. Blurred photographs and a succession of intriguing sightings followed for decades, at one stage rivaling the legend of the Loch Ness Monster. Yet countless bounty hunts, safaris, and expeditions, one conducted by Royal Marines, failed to pin it down. Okay, actually, I'm going to put this here instead. I'm going to make this the last slide. So this is real quick, I promise. Going to focus on 2 more countries that have had reports of these creatures, and then this will be it. So next one we have in mind is Canada. New Brunswick, to be exact. On March 29th, 1947, Bruce S. Wright discovered 3 sets of unmistakable puma tracks, 2 adults and 1 cub, on the border between Albert and St. John counties, New Brunswick. These were the first puma tracks recorded in eastern Canada in more than 100 years. Bruce S. Wright and his wife were driving went from Fredericton, New Brunswick on September 28th, 1966. So almost 20 years later, when they saw a puma cross the road in front of them in broad daylight. A videotape of a puma was taken to Oasis, New Brunswick in the spring of 1990 by Roger Noble, which once again I was unable to find the video. And finally, next one already, China. So first for Asia in this case. The blue or Maltese tiger, the former name taken from the common color terminology for domestic cats, is a purported color morph of the South China tiger, with sightings in Myanmar, China, and the Korean peninsula. It is speculated that while the color morph may have theoretically existed, the severe historical bottlenecking of tiger populations makes it unlikely for the genotype to remain in extant populations. And all right, so we're going to stop right here because, like I said, I don't want to keep going. I'm already a couple minutes over. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to end this for tonight and definitely make a part 2 out of this. But we definitely did cover a lot. As soon as I get off here, I'm going to go back and make the corrections. Yeah, it was definitely a big cat. What's up, Tom? Hey, Kate, great to see you here. Unfortunately, I'm just about to be ending this, but definitely great to see you tuning in as always. So obviously, like I said, there was a lot to really cover. So guess what? Like I just said, we're gonna have to make a part 2 of the Phantom Cats and Alien Bed Cats ABCs. And as you saw briefly, our next country we're going to be focusing on with these sightings is in Denmark this time. So we got a couple more countries to kind of look through before we eventually get to the U.S. reports, including the reports in the U.S. But as always, as I always like to say in the end, I definitely want to thank you guys, as always, for coming in, tuning in. I know I didn't really get much of a huge audience tonight, but that's okay. Having a couple of people tuning in is always better than nothing. So I really always appreciate you guys taking the time of watching and giving your support. Like I said, like I always say, I always do this for you guys. I don't just do this for myself. You know, I do this for you guys in the end, and that's what's most important. So, like I said, I'll be back next week with part 2. Unfortunately, I got word from Lois that To the Grave and Back and the Frighteners have been canceled this week, so we will not be doing it this week. But I will be back on tomorrow night for Supernatural talk. We have 2 people that I keep forgetting their names, but they were involved in the documentary The House in Between. They also just recently released a new documentary that we're going to be interviewing them on. And also this upcoming Friday night, me and Don Elmy of Fear Fans will be guests on Jeremy's show, The 13th Dimension, because it's going to be Friday the 13th. And we'll be talking about basically the films, the TV series, and Friday the 13th in general. So it's going to be a lot of great stuff. Can't wait to be part of it. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see some of you guys tomorrow night. But as I always like to say, if you guys would rather wait to the next episode of Nick Files, I will see you guys then next week. You guys all have a great night. Take care. Oh, and also, because I thought it's important to really say this since I just brought it up. I know it's early, but happy Friday the 13th. All right. You guys all have a great night. Like I said, I'll see some of you guys tomorrow, but if not, I'll see you guys next week. So have a good night.